Back in September of 2019, I became nothing less than a cultural icon of the 2010s when I released part 1 of this mod showcase. I finally had made it on YouTube. Money, respect, women, the lot. In that video, I provided 25 mods and showed you how it gave me such a different experience with Grand Theft Auto 4. We'll prepare again for the same, as today I am back with 50 mods that have even further enhanced my game. That's 23 mods from the first video, 4 of which have been updated, but most importantly another 27 mods brand new to the series. In chapter 1 I will recap everything from the last video, then chapter 2 to 6 is dedicated to all the new mods in greater detail. But that's not all. As a bonus, I'm soon going to be uploading a follow-up video that will give you a raw look at a day in the life of Niko Bellic, with all the mods showcased in action. Consider first watching part 1 and subscribing for part 3 in the near future. To begin the recap, let's start with graphics. Cry ENB v3 gives the game its stylish appearance, with the weather and time of day heavily influencing the colours on screen, which are usually quite vibrant now. I personally have enjoyed using this, but I do acknowledge that it's an acquired taste. The increased saturation is not for everyone, and that's okay. Moving on to textures, I used DKT 70's HD roads, which are best demonstrated through Enter's amazing comparison video. TweakAllPeds mod is a simple texture enhancement for every single NPC in-game. You should likely spot facial and clothing details with increased sharpness and definition. It was a noticeable improvement to me when I first installed it, especially while using the first person mod. GTA 4 Ultimate Textures v2 ambitiously attempts to replace and improve every texture in Liberty City. I use it out of necessity more than anything, as there are few options for replacing all the world's textures. Variety vegetation greatly betters the appearance of greenery in the worlds, like the trees and bushes. It's nice to emphasize nature in such a modern yet gritty place like we have in GTA 4. Whilst the graphics mostly covered, I then went on to showcase the amazing customizable Niko mod, where I've since downloaded an update to feature more clothing items. I will show you the content that came with the newer version a little later on. Realistic fuel mod would be next, but I removed it from my playthrough. I ultimately found that the inconvenience wasn't as fun as I thought it would be, and the novelty wore off fast. It's still linked below for anyone interested. CG4 Radar on Map, a solid mod. Something I failed to mention about it last time is that I avoided using its HUD elements, the health bar and crosshair, but both the map and radar are arguably the best in the modern scene right now. It's still particularly useful in my game, as I often need to replenish health and armor, which is easily found via the minimap. Traffic Flow, which is a borderline essential mod for me now, continues to keep the vehicles on the road very diverse, which in turn makes the gameplay better and the city more lively. Realism Traffic Pedestrian mod is actually one of my favourites ever. It makes Liberty City feel more authentic by spawning realistic numbers of vehicles and people depending on the time of day. See the difference between morning, afternoon, evening, and night. The mod has more depth than that though. Other factors, like if it's a weekend or weekday, make a difference too. It's nice to leave your apartment at night and go for a drive in the empty, unpopulated streets. Coloured radio HUD is a small touch to the vehicle gameplay. It's something fresh, which is often why I install smaller mods like this. I'm not sure I consider the new radio icons better necessarily, but I do think it's a welcome change after playing the game for fucking 10 years. IV Radios fittingly restores all of the original radio songs that were taken from us near the 10th anniversary of GTA 4. Thanks again Rockstar for that one. First person and dashcam mod is for those that want to see from Niko's eyes, giving the game a wildly different perspective both on foot and in a vehicle. Who doesn't love the option? Very high quality vehicle interiors enhances some Very high quality vehicle interiors enhances some car dashcam textures, noticeable in several vehicles such as the Banshee and Sultan RS. HDIV weapons, another mod which has since been updated, further betters the weapon textures, animations and audio. I will showcase that very soon. Real recorded gun sounds was replaced by that update in fact, so we can move past that, though it's still linked below. Kilo's realistic weapon damage and ammunition continues to make my life in GTA 4 much more grounded. Literally, you will be shot dead to the ground a lot. Both you and enemies realistically die very quickly to bullets. The increased rate of fire, furthered range, lower ammunition, and other various tweaks alter the gunplay dramatically. I only recommend this mod if you're willing to turn up the difficulty to like very hard. Exaggerated blood is a fun one, making each shootout all the more gruesome. Bullets to each limb and body part are recognisable, and that includes Nico. Get shot in the chest for example and you will bleed from the chest. Bullet Impact Euphoria, though so simple, successfully evens the playing field by applying a % chance of Nico ragdolling when shot, close to what happens to the NPCs when shot. You can prevent the chances of ragdolling by wearing armour. Bleed Heal is a solid companion modification. When health gets low, Nico begins to bleed out and hold his wounds. When you lose blood, you also stumble thanks to Bullet Impact Euphoria, which makes it very tense in cinematic situations. Assassination mod allows Nico to act as a hired hitman. This was a common way I made money back in the early stages of my playthrough, and it's still a fun side activity. It almost doesn't even look like a mod, it's so well done. Oh, and you don't have to dress up as Hitman by the way, Nico just felt like cosplaying. Simple Native Trainer has been updated from version 6.0 to 6.5. Who knew? I didn't. The update features bug fixes and even more trainer options. If you didn't know, a trainer allows you to manipulate the game. It's like a cheat book on steroids. How about changing the time of day? Instantly giving yourself weapons. Changing your clothes on the spot. Spawning vehicles at extremely inappropriate places, etc, etc. This is the best mod of the video, hands down. Before I modded GTA 4 like I do now, I was satisfied with just this trainer installed. I honestly think every game should be released with a trainer of its own, especially on consoles. Moving on. Arrest Warrant got an impressive update too, adding even more complexity to the police AI, which I'm excited to show you soon. It's a big one, so stay tuned. And last but not least, Bank Account, arguably one of the most important mods I installed as it fixed the terrible currency issue GTA 4 suffers from, an overabundance in money. Configuring the INI file to take all my cash upon death or arrest has been an invaluable decision, ironically enough. Though keep in mind that my bank balance only loses 2 Gs. And that's part of the fun and fear, getting your money back to the bank before you're killed. I talk more about this in my 7 simple mods to improve GTA 4's gameplay video, so watch that for more information about the mod. Now what new mods do I have for you? Well, in part 1, I had the freedom to add a lot of general changes as my game was completely vanilla. It was a necessity really, a way to lay the groundwork. Some of the mods today focus down on specific parts of my game. The best example would be how I overhauled the LCPD, which I will detail soon, but first I'm going to start with the changes I made to the gunplay. Starting easy, I wanted a new crosshair mod, and the one I found actually released this year in 2020. Dot Crosshair with HP, in a way, combines both the basic and complex crosshair options from the vanilla game while offering some of its own unique changes. Firstly, if you're not aiming at enemies, the crosshair is just a dot. When you point at an enemy, around this dot appears the health bar but without the ugly ring that would usually surround it from the complex option. And that's it. The changes are so simple yet so refreshing. I really enjoyed the new design. Have you ever noticed how incredibly accurate the guns are in GTA 4, at least on the PC version? Even blind firing is, but no longer. I'm happy to provide a fix for the issue. Bullet Spread Recoil Fix restores so much strategy involved in shooting, as you now have to deal with just that, bullet spread. It's usually smarter to burst fire when at a distance, otherwise the shots will start flying left, right, above and below the target as they should. Though it's quite funny either way, both to cleanly hit an intentional headshot or to spray and pray. You can demonstrate the effect this mod has by firing at a wall. Real Recoil was basically designed to accompany this mod. It focuses less on the stats and more on the feel. Physically, your gun jolts up as would happen in real life. Say if you shot an AK-47 into a crowd of unsuspecting NPCs, you sick fuck. And it's satisfying as hell. It significantly improves the tension of gunplay, visibly demonstrates the force these dangerous weapons have, and adds a fun aspect of gameplay to one of the most common practices in GTA 4, shooting. If it looks a little ugly on video to see the camera jolt up like this, I encourage that you don't dismiss the mod straight away, as it's all about the feel with this one, the sense of recoil. Something you may notice with CryENB is that the lighting can be quite dark in unlit areas, so I added a flashlight attachment mod. This is just a bit of fun really, more of a pretty visual thing for exploring abandoned ruins, trekking dark subway tunnels, getting into alleyway fights, and who knows what. Though that doesn't mean it's useless, it's just only enabled for specific situations. Maybe that makes it more special. It comes with a laser attachment that we could probably call special. It's completely off target. Let's finish off this weapon segment with the new update that comes to HD IV weapons. Honestly, one of the best visual mods from last video. Well, you may have already seen the textures and models, but the new content features sound effects, as well as new animations, including Nico taking an extra moment to aim the deagle, and how you shoot the pump shotgun around corners, while holding your weapon at your side instead of concealing it. It's badass, and so is this mod. Let's move on. This little place here is my business. I bought it myself with Farnsworth's business mod. It was $110,000, though prices can rise and fall over time.
Enjoy your meal, fatso.
I drive here about once a week to collect revenue or deal with an issue, like last time when someone tried to rob me. What's cool is that I actually used to work here as a pizza boy. I remember back when I was doing work for Vlad, I would also go and make a couple deliveries before heading home. Those times have long passed though. After doing a big job in the city, I made good money and I decided to invest half of it here. There's upkeep for owning the spot and paying employees, but I'm just about making a profit from my investment, and I'll be sure to update you in part 3. Maybe I will have an empire by then, as there are many places you can own. For example, in Broker alone, there's the Russian clothes shop just up the road, Perestroika, a laundromat, a bowling alley, demonetization, and the internet cafe.
Go fuck yourself.
Take to the map and you'll see there's all types of businesses: fast food, accommodation, industrial, car dealership, clothing, shopping, women appreciation, and more. It's epic. Remember, this isn't about owning everything. A lot of these locations will hire you as an employee, from vehicle delivery to paramedic, protecting clientele to disposing toxic waste, playing bin man to wherever this is. Farnsworth's business mod is ambitious, you gotta respect that, let alone how well it works in practice. But you know, this all reminds me of way back when I was in no position to even think about investments and employee costs. In desperate times, it wasn't uncommon for me to try and make quick cash by sticking up a burger shop with the robbery mod. I'd often get a friend to come with, hit a new spot, and then try to lose the wanted level. I'd split the money and we'd go our separate ways until the next job. You're able to do this at several locations, it's very grounded and doesn't overpay you, which I respect. Even allowing you to steal from a museum, bonus points for that. My partner was eventually killed and... I didn't have the digital stomach to spawn in another, so I left my thieving days behind. Overall, it's not very fledged out, but neither is the vanilla game, which only allows you to take cash from some shops with registers. At least now, with the two combined, it means there's many more places that can be robbed. GTA 4 was always in need of more customization options, and that's exactly what Customizable Nico gives you, a very wide range of clothes to choose from, both unused and ripped straight from GTA 5. This entire video acts as a showcase to the mod, as I'm always wearing clothing pieces that came from it. I should put Nico's ass in the thumbnail and call it a try on haul. Dialogue System is a very cool mod that gives you the ability to talk to pedestrians in Liberty City. It's a simplified version of the one in Red Dead Redemption 2. Though only simple in a way that some quotes don't make sense, like,
"Hey, pretty good. Snowboarding's cool, yeah. Let me hear you say yeah. This is fun. Okay, bye."
which is still pretty funny at least. But other than Oblivion dialogue, how each person reacts is fairly advanced. For example, greeting someone doesn't necessarily mean that they will be friendly. Antagonizing someone puts them either in fight or flight mode.
Ugh, get away from me, you pervert. Stop touching me.
You are dumb, friend.
Don't touch me.
Just fuck off back to the rock you crawled out from.
Ew, did you see that? Ah!
I think you need to ask doctor for stronger medication. Kiss my Puerto Rican cool, mama huevo. You don't know who you're dealing with.
And people can just shove you away. It even works when you're playing as other characters.
Screw you. Fuck yourself. Go sit on a stick. Stop touching me!
Fuck your mother!
Excuse me.
You look inbred!
To pizza!
Speaking of pedestrians, the next allows a drunk to appear on the streets every so often, staggering around, annoying everyone, and committing several crimes in the process. Nico is so above this. For a little added realism and, let's be honest, a touch of humour, this is a solid mod you should install. Where are the police when you need them? Enhanced Improved Cop is a good place to start off the big LCPD overhaul. The mod adds more models and textures for the everyday police officers, which has been great for my GTA 4 experience. The mod includes some really good looking clothing pieces, such as the armor protected officer, which is my favourite. Something I usually confirm about the GTA 4 mods I install is, are they law friendly? I didn't want them to be changed from the LCPD to NYPD. Thank God this amazing mod doesn't break my law. Though it does make the next entry a little awkward. In the skies are brand new helicopters, replacing both the Police Maverick and Annihilator. One problem, they are ripped from Resident Evil, please and unsubscribe. The new Maverick shares a similar look to the vanilla version, but the model really separates the two. Honestly so refreshing. And the new Annihilator is the same. When I see one rolling in at 5 stars, I don't know if I'm about to be dropped by a gunner or spied on by the government. The black texture has that you have a dodgy search history vibe to it. Oh, and don't worry, it can still do a Vietnam. Back on the ground, I downloaded replacements for the 2 common police cruisers, and for the less common, Noose Cruiser and Patriot. Firstly, this Crown Vic is now the standard vehicle for an officer in Liberty City, as well as the in-game Vincent. I enjoy the colour change from blue and white to black and white, that's consistent among the new land vehicles. When things are getting more heated around 3 stars, that's prime time to see the 2 new vehicles in action. The LCPD Cavalcade and Police Spike? Yeah, don't tell anyone, but that's ripped from Resident Evil as well. The Cavalcade is very interesting actually. I think I incorrectly installed it, causing the windows to become bulletproof. But this is great, it's actually quite a decent gameplay element to deal with. When I see one storming in, I can't easily take out the 2 inside like I can for most other vehicles. And afterwards I can even steal it for myself and take advantage of the shielding. Seeing the biker cops in a fight is always fun, and for once it's not because it adds challenge, but because they're easy pickings. Both on foot and in a vehicle. I just like the new dynamic really, seeing reinforcements arrive via motorbike is just nice. Let's talk about Arrest Warrant and the latest version I'm using. This mod adds some really significant gameplay mechanics which ultimately make police behave more realistically. Firstly, each officer is individual and has the potential to remember or recognise your face and even investigate your last known area. The game now has a cooldown time after losing a star, with each representing 60 seconds, so you have to lay low until it's over with. If during a pursuit you're ID'd, then you will gain notoriety which can affect you after you've evaded the cops. The mod creator took inspiration from the old Assassin's Creed system. Police officers will visibly increase in suspicion and follow you. They might even ask you for ID. Your vehicle can be put on the wanted list too, whether you've used it as an escape vehicle or you've been caught violating a traffic law, so don't be surprised when you get spotted later on driving the same wreck. The mod even gives you the ability to surrender. What is the solution to notoriety then? Well, as I mentioned in the last video, there is a bribe system, but since this update it has much improved. You can call up your contact and he specifies a meetup. Once there, you can pay off your notoriety and enjoy the streets of LC without the anxiety of an old 4-star wanted level coming back to bite you. I recommend you make changes to the ini file so that bribes aren't quite so expensive. Oh, and dying now strips you of all your weaponry. Any feature that makes me more money conscious is likely a feature I will enjoy. Overall, the mod is much more in depth than I could possibly detail in this video alone. For example, the chance of a cop identifying you is less likely if he is lying down or limping. On the street, you can be spotted with a weapon. The bigger the weapon, the more likely it is to be spotted. And if it's at nighttime or raining, you can more successfully use the natural camouflage to prevent yourself from being caught. It really is an exceptional mod. To conclude chapter 4 in the police overhaul, I had a very simple mod that allows you to listen to the radio while in a police vehicle. Simply just want to listen to Liberty Rock radio while catching baddies, to be honest. I think throughout this video you have gained a better understanding of my life in Liberty City, but there's one thing I have not yet showed you: my car. Probably the most iconic vehicle of GTA San Andreas, the Greenwood. It replaced the Marbell, which therefore means that Vlad drives it in Clean Getaway. Kinda ruins it a little bit. But nah, this is a solid car that performs well enough. Most of my missions take place in the city where I live, so it's not an issue getting from point A to B in decent time. Plus, I've now got to be more careful with the police on the street or they'll see me speeding. I will upgrade in the future for sure, that should be in part 3. And of course, the vehicle spawns for everyone else too. You will see NPCs driving the Greenwood. Similar to how I overhauled the LCPD vehicles, I replaced both the primary taxis you can find in Liberty City, The first is the 1986 The Classy Classic Taxi Car. I just enjoyed the old-fashioned boxy design over the modern rounded edges of the vanilla cab. The next is very interesting. It started with a question. Why is Roman's taxi company seemingly non-existent? Outside of the annoying driver he can send to pick you up, Rockstar made little effort to realise Bellic Enterprises.
Roman is real lucky to have you working for him. Your customer service is impeccable.
You want to know about my customer service? You ask one of my female passengers. They'll tell you I service them good.
So you probably know where I'm going. The next mod solves this issue. Now on the streets of Liberty City are Roman's drivers in their unique black taxi cabs. I love it. You know, I've crashed into these cars and felt bad about it. Like me, you may experience that the cab GPS is broken. There's a fair chance I installed it wrong. But this isn't game breaking, as you can simply go onto the map before entering, add a radar blip to where you want to go, and then press enter on the first option when you enter the cab. I see this mod as a fix almost. Rockstar definitely should have had Roman's drivers on the street to begin with, especially as the business grows throughout the story. Missed potential. If you watch the 7 simple mods to improve GTA 4 video, you may remember the mod that adjusted the vehicle's handling and performance. It was nothing less than an overhaul. Well, I was comfortable with recommending that mod because it's been in my playthrough for months and I absolutely love what it does to the gameplay. Don't get me wrong, unlike so many people, I do not have any issues with the vanilla driving mechanics, and although this mod is called realistic driving and flying, I'm not arguing that this mod is in fact realistic. I wouldn't know. But I do know that I have much more fun with it installed. The actual depth of this mod goes way over my head, so here's the list of changes that were in the description. It's best to just go in game and see if you can feel a difference. I guarantee you will. Suddenly having the ability to drift much easier is fucking great. Or when you notice how faster you can drive, the increased vehicle damage, the new learning curve for flying, better bike control, and even the flaws of the older and cheaper generation of vehicles. Choosing a muscle car to a sports to a sedan to a truck is more different than ever. I like mods that encourage me to think about my actions in game, ones like bullet spread, arrest warrant, kilos weapon damage, bank account, and some others. This is one of those mods. If my vehicle choice need not be intentional, then what's the point in having so much variety? To conclude this vehicle segment of the video, let's have a fun one. Burnout effects increases the amount of smoke that accumulates from tyre friction. You'll see this easily doing it the old-fashioned way, but you can catch it during normal gameplay too. Some vehicles can really make a cloud if you put in enough effort. Again, it's just plain fun. Yeah, you've got to appreciate the flow we've had so far during this video. It was nice while it lasted.
Fuck you!
Let's go over the final mods I've installed, the various fixes and changes I have made to the game. The first needs a little context. You see with the trainer, you're not actually able to spawn in Niko Bellic, not without this mod. All you have to do is choose who you want to replace. I bet you recognise that voice. But it was Jacob's alternate model, so the character is still in the game. You may rightfully be wondering why I did this. You've got to understand that for more than half the time I play GTA 4, I'm just messing around with the simple native trainer, starting gang wars, flying my Sanchez, getting a makeover with the girls, etc, etc. Wait, I'm not a girl, I'm a gamer! So make him as no surprise that occasionally I just want Niko by my side, maybe several Nikos, or maybe one overpowered godlike Niko that tries to ravish me. Console loading screens, a viewer suggested it in Discord and here it is. This is the artwork I've seen for most of my life, but after about 1,000 hours of these ones, it's a welcome return. What about you, do you prefer the PC or console loading screens? Before adding the Nude Strippers mod, this game is literally unplayable. Guys, it's a fix. I am fixing the game with this modification. Nothing more, nothing less.
That's all. It's physics. Biology. Doesn't exist.
Isn't this guy
It's a
annoying?
lie.
I added 2 adjustments to the Rockstar editor, one being open camera, which allows you to go outside the boundaries that the game would usually restrict you to. You can take the camera as far as you want. I usually use it for still environment shots like this. And you know the watermarks that are slapped onto the finished video? The remove watermark mod does away with that. Halt vehicles was created to be used with arrest warrant. It's a simple script that stops vehicles behind you when in traffic. Now they won't crash into you or rudely try to overtake you when following the rules of the road. And finally, it's been a long one, but here we are, Plane Path Fix, the final mod today. This changes the flight paths of all the planes over the islands. As well as that, a passenger jet actually lands and takes off from Francis International Airport, which is pretty sweet. If you made it to this point, you're an actual legend, thank you so much. This video took over a month to create, but honestly I loved every minute of it. I'm very passionate about making these showcases and I'm sure there will be several more to come. So before you leave, consider subscribing, and if you did enjoy the video, like it. I'm on Patreon and PayPal if you want to leave me a tip. To be more involved with the community, I recommend our amazing Discord server, and I also have a Twitter. I hope you enjoyed the video, now to enjoy the mods.